Hey travelers, welcome back to The Rift here on Ghostlight. In this, the 18th episode of The Rift, I'm diving into the lore of Expedition 14, Liquidators. So let's get into it. At the start of the expedition, we once again find ourselves marooned on an alien world. This time, it's a beautiful, lush planet that's just rifled with vile brood and biological horrors. There's even this asteroid larvae looking at us from above, kinda creepy. And this is an ongoing theme of this expedition. These strange, corrupted biological enemies have overtaken every planet, and it's our job to help beat back the flood. Now, this expedition plays on the themes of popular 90s sci-fi flick Starship Troopers, as well as that of more modern games like Helldivers 2. But this expedition presents the story of these events in the least No Man's Sky way possible. Seemingly just very straightforward. You see, upon finding our ship, we are immediately contacted by the Liquidator Vanguard Command, an apparently established group in the No Man's Sky lore, tasked with eradicating this vile infestation from the simulation. We learn that they have detected an infestation in our sector of space, and they've asked us to report for duty as a local cleanup unit. Once again, this expedition is leaning into the themes made popular by its predecessors. This idea of duty, of doing your part for glory, or for democracy, who knows. It's not long before we encounter this infestation firsthand, as our starter planet is infested with these juicy grubs which, when destroyed or crushed, summon the Brood Mother, a new boss battle in-game. Now this enemy launches indirect overhead attacks, while also spawning minor enemies or broodlings for melee attacks. Fortunately, even at our limited new expedition safe strength, these battles aren't terribly difficult. Now, as we progress from rendezvous to rendezvous, or drop zone to drop zone, as this expedition refers to them, we unlock prime infestation sites and pieces of a story that unfolds throughout the expedition. The story of Liquidator number 3813 Gulf, as they heed the call of the Vanguard, battle the brood across planet and moon, and star to star, until their eventual end. In the final few passage of lore presented in Liquidators, we learn that 3813 Gulf has encountered a nest of brood that they just can't liquidate by conventional means. So, in a nature true to the themes of duty and selfless service, 3813 Gulf decides to plunge themselves into the viscera of the nest with plasma grenades in hand, sacrificing themselves for the cause. But something happened to 3813 Gulf while engulfed in the gelatinous fluid of the hive's nest, among the grubs of the brood mother. Now, 3813 Gulf describes a sound, a resonating hum of the hive that seems to have some sort of effect on their mind. They lose their sense of purpose, of why they're there, and as the jelly consumes them, they become feed for the brood they've sworn to combat. This liquidator, ironically, liquefies with the, quote, song of the hive in their heart. Now, you might be asking, but Ghost, how does this seemingly straightforward, one-shot adventure possibly tie into the overarching story of No Man's Sky? Well, dear interlopers, let's pull on some threads and see what shakes loose. To start, the designation of this liquidator, number 3813 Gulf, is reminiscent of the designation given to all travelers, an iteration number. Now, as you may know, all player characters are multiversal iterations of the same traveler. Iteration 2394829084924924924 Gulf. Often we see this number shortened to a 4-digit number, followed by an alphabetical designator, such as number 4924 Gulf. It seems that the story we're following in the expedition is that of a fellow traveler, possibly number 3813 Gulf. Now that's not too far of a reach to make, and there have been several incidences of travelers who have sought to end corruption in the universe, such as in the weekend mission lore of 2020, but we'll come back to that. Another interesting part of this expedition is the presence of biological horrors. Typically, these enemies remain underground, protecting whispering eggs at abandoned buildings or littered across dead, uninhabited planets. But in the Liquidators expedition, these enemies spawn at every point of interest, on every planet, even at every crashed ship and waypoint. Now, they do still protect whispering eggs at abandoned buildings, and this only complicated our task of taking out prime infestation sites, as they are all in abandoned buildings throughout the expedition. But does this hold any significance? Now, interestingly enough, the abandoned buildings have been around since the very beginning of No Man's Sky. And even more interesting, so has some of the lore contained within their terminals. Now, the fungal-like corruption that infests these abandoned buildings have been refined over time, and it seems that Liquidators retconned the story slightly, attributing this corruption, at least the residual group left on the terminal, to the Vile Brood. Now, the lore of the abandoned building consists of multiple parts, but the first section seems to describe the biological horrors which reside outside. But again, and I can't stress this enough, some of these terminal prompts were present at the start of No Man's Sky. Here you can see where I encounter some of this lore in version 1.09 of my No Man's Sky Rewind series. I found a body. It's unlike anything I have ever seen. If there's a species like it, then I hope they're all dead like this one. At first I thought some tragic remnant of a matter transfer tech malfunction. A cage of bone and flesh studded with random patterns of crooked teeth and lidless eyes. But no, some horror of twisted evolution, warped by cruel nature. I can't help but picture what it would have looked like alive. I cannot help but fear that it will live again. Even though these passages seem to describe the monstrosities also found at the abandoned buildings, the actual biological horrors themselves didn't arrive until the next update in version 1.5, and that's a whole 2 years after launch. Now, there's another passage of interest in this early abandoned terminal lore, just a line that seems to foreshadow 3813 Golf's fate in the Liquidator update. I awoke from a dream where I was drowning in something thick and gelatinous. It filled my pores and suffocated me. I want to believe that this is my tired mind playing tricks. I've been so long without deep sleep. But biological horrors, sometimes called monstrosities, aren't the only pre-Worlds baddies that the Liquidator Vanguard are waging war against along with the Vile Brood. They're also against the alluring anglers, as well as other abyssal horrors. Now, all of which are often associated with the Abyss, another alias for the Atlantid or the Void Mother, but this is likely due to them being added in the Abyss update. Now, abyssal horrors all exist in water, and the Sentinels are known to have contaminated the water with nanites at the behest of the Atlantid. From the Sentinel Pillar lore, nanite clusters now infest half the water in the known universe. All that lives drinks the water. And so the Sentinels alter, they replace, they serve, they update this reality, hearing the scream of the Abyss for what it has always been: a song, a command, a declaration, a promise. So there is a connection here, but this loose connection to nanites in the water, as well as the Void Mother, might play into the story of Liquidator 3813 Golf. In the main story, we find out that post-Great Disconnection Korvax, who were enslaved by Gek First Spawn, escaped their captors by infecting their spawning pools with nanites, fundamentally changing the Gek race into the trade lords we know today. Now, this is just one example of how nanites have been used to manipulate minds of organic beings. Another example, though purely speculative, is how the Outlaws of No Man's Sky seem to speak with one voice. So when 3813 Golf goes into the hive nest, surrounded by liquid, their mind is also fundamentally changed. Where once they were devoted to destroying the brood, now they're subdued, unable to carry out their mission. Furthermore, 3813 Golf also speaks of resonating, a hum, the song of the hive. Now, what does that sound like? That's right. It sounds very similar to how someone may describe the sound of dissonant crystals on corrupt planets. You know, come to think of it, maybe there's more similarities here than we thought. Could this vile brood be a biological upgrade to the corrupt sentinels? Now, this might be a coincidence. Either way, it seems that something is causing both mechanized and biological enemies to spawn throughout the simulation. Biological horrors have also been speculated by some to be linked to the Void Mother as well, though I can't find anything directly tying them together, and I looked, like, a lot, at everything. The only thread that connects the biological horrors to the Abyss is how their existence is framed in the abandoned building lore as being somehow unnatural. That, and their presence is always accompanied by this fungal-like corruption. Now, that alone doesn't connect them to the Abyss, but the Summer Weekend Mission lore of 2020 is filled with suggestions that the Abyss is responsible for all kinds of anomalous disturbances, or corruption, throughout the universe. And it's not much, dear travelers, but it's what we got to go on. Not to mention, the Vanguard are also going after Sentinels and their corrupt counterparts. So it seems that the Liquidator Vanguard are hell-bent on eliminating any beast that they deem not of this world. So what do you think? Is the Brood Mother linked to the Void Mother by more than just their affinity for the color purple? Let me know in the comments below. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Rift. Please like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. The biggest of shoutouts to my YouTube members at the friend entity level, and my Rift Walker, Raging Furball. I'm Ghost, and as always, dear Rift Walkers, I'll see you tonight.
We're going global. All the travelers catching the drift. We're going global. Oceans renewing tide shift. We're going global. The frontier forged on the cosmic scale. We're going global. So take a seat, Rift Walkers, let me tell you a tale.